Hey everyone, how are you? It's been, I can't believe it, almost a month since I recorded my last video. I think this is the longest I've gone in between videos, so I apologize for not doing this sooner, but I took a lovely vacation during the last month and was away for 2 weeks. Wanted to share a little bit about the experience of being away and kind of what I got out of the trip, some lessons learned across all of that. I did get some scans done on Friday for next steps, but I talked to the oncologist tomorrow. And once I talk to her, I will do a second video to share with you guys kind of next steps on my healing journey, on my health journey. So I went away. This year is the year Brian and I turned 50. So we decided to take and splurge and take a nice trip and meet my older sister and brother-in-law in Europe and spend 2 weeks with them. And we brought our son with us, which was just such a lovely trip overall. But it was not without its challenges. I have spent this last year in probably the most challenging year yet with cancer. I think you guys know a lot of the challenges along the way, but the surgery not going well in the fall, the fracturing of my jaw, the scarring, the trauma from that, the fear from the surgeon's diagnosis of if I don't do the surgery again, I'm going to die from this, to determining that, yes, I'm going to do chemo maintenance. I think on one of the last videos I shared that, prognosis was really good in April, but my platelets had been low for such a significant period of time that at this point, when I look back, I'm at the beginning of second week of June. When I look back, it's probably been since kind of middle of March, maybe end of March, since my last chemo treatment. So it's been, a couple of months. It's been so nice to have a break from chemo. You don't realize what a loop you get in with it until you have a break, meaning when you get treatment, you have immediate side effects, you deal with the side effects, you kind of like almost go into soldier mode where you you just get in a groove of handling the pain and the side effects in a particular way. So, your stomach is going to react in a particular way, what your diet is going to do, what your tolerance for food or water or liquid or sleep or any of that stuff, what the impact is. So, taking a break is such a lovely thing, but you also adjust in that period too, in terms of, recognizing what your life is like without chemo. I think the last couple months in particular for me have been very challenging with sleep. It's, I have had some full nights of sleep, but I would say no more than 10 nights of that since April started. So, a lot of up and down and, being awake. You do learn how to deal with that too. So that's also changed. I think growing up, having been an athlete, I have always been an early to bed, early to rise kind of person. And, this acknowledgement of what can be done in 2 hours of sleep, 1 hour of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. That's been kind of new awareness for me in the last couple of years. But just taking you back a little bit to some of the things I've learned having gone on this trip. Number one, right before we left, the day we left, I had so much anxiety to leave the house. And it's not that I didn't leave the house before then. I would go on my walks and every so often run an errand, go to the doctors, etc. But the last time I was on an airplane was a year before. The last time I had gone to the airport was a year before. I definitely have had such a year of being a homebody, sequestered, and in many ways, that's just been such a lovely, safe thing. The house has been kind of my safe bubble. And so leaving the house was really scary. And I know it sounds nuts, but I'm just being really honest with you guys. I just had to get the courage to leave the house. And, the universe, God, did a great job of our driver being from Brazil. And I don't know that I've shared it on this channel, but we lived in Brazil when we were very little. And um, I just feel such a kindred spirit to people from that country. I have so many great friends from there. Um, and just loving, kind people. And the driver was very much the same, and that helped me relax. He had classical music on. I didn't even ask him to do that, and so very quickly we got ourselves to the airport and without stress. And I was so grateful to that. Security was a cacophony of sounds. I think, being at home, you get very sensory, I think sometimes you can feel very sensory being outside the house. And so doing that through security was very intense. Not to mention physically, I could not carry the bags I would normally carry and manage all of the in and out of the bags and the shoes and all the things that I would normally do when we would go through security. So it was a little chaotic, but we got through it pretty quickly. And after getting through it quickly, we realized that we had gotten through, or I realized we had gotten through like the two big hurdles. And then sitting there in the airport was not as big a deal. We flew over to Iceland. Iceland Air, you can fly over and have a layover, and we did that. And I, by the time, I think we got in on Wednesday morning, we had the day at one of their cool lagoons, the Sky Lagoon, which was just the most, my older sister gave it to us as a gift, and it was a beautifully generous gift. We spent pretty much the afternoon, the afternoon there. And it was so healing. They have this thing called the 7 rituals, and you go into like basically lagoon that's kind of like a very large hot tub, and then cold plunge and sauna and cool misty rain, scrub, hot sauna, or wet sauna, and then back into the lagoon. It was the most refreshing way to rejuvenate. And when we got to the hotel that night, I realized I had been awake for 36 hours with 1 hour of sleep. So all of those months of not sleeping well served me well while I was there. But I had some challenges with sleep throughout the trip for sure. I had some physical soreness in my hips. I had some digestive challenges. I think between the diet, the lack of sleeping, and some of the pain meds, that is just part of the territory. So it wasn't without its challenges, the trip itself. But that's A-okay. I think every time I went through something, my healer Susan had shared with me, remind yourself like how strong you are and what you can do. And I know it sounds very basic and kind of a fundamental, but when you put yourself back out there for whatever reason, if you can just cheer yourself on for like a split second, I know just getting, once I got to the airport, I was like, hey, kudos, I got to the airport. I know it's a small thing for those of us that are in corporate America that travel all the time. And again, it's been a while since I've been in that role, but it feels like a small thing. But when you haven't done it in a while, it feels like a big thing. Getting through security, way to go, sister. It was chaos, but you did it. So I think for the trip, I did a lot of that, and that felt good. Secondly, food had become quite a challenge between April and May for me. I lost close to 10 pounds between April and May, and I didn't really have that much weight to lose. So I wasn't, it wasn't necessarily a healthy thing. It was just more like my platelets were low and my energy wasn't there to eat. And then the food was not that appetizing. And it was just a combo of the two together. But when we were on this trip, the food was just amazing, and I wanted to eat, and I wanted to eat more. And so I didn't really gain weight, but I fed myself well, and that felt really beautiful too. It was a beautiful healing journey. I think being with a family member, my older sister, and my brother-in-law, being with Brian and Logan, just all of us being together. We're lucky we travel well together, so that's, we don't really have like conflict or anything like that. So that's great. And I also think it's when you're going through something like this, the fact that you can come as you are, and, if your stomach's upset or something's, you don't have to make like a whole big story about that. So I think acknowledgement of just being human when you're going through pain is really important. Just being aware of the pain you're dealing with, but then sharing it with people so they know where you're at. Everybody was sensitive to, how much I could walk, how far I could walk. And, I very quickly jumped right back into that and was able to do 2 to 5 miles within a few days. So it wasn't like I feel like I slowed everybody down to the point of the trip wasn't, as effective as it could be. So that felt really good. So I gave myself this new environment and this opportunity to be with family, and honestly to learn. I love travel because I am like really at core a student on a regular basis. When I have free time, I want to learn something. I know it's a little geeky of me, but I love that. So I think travel is a great opportunity to dig in and learn about new culture. I love history, and architecture. So it's the combo of those two things together were really, I think, powerful for me, and inspiring, super inspiring. The other really powerful thing that happened was while we were on the trip, I had mentioned my older sister. As you all know, we lost our daughter. I was 19 weeks pregnant, and she, had to deliver her early. And 4 weeks later, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, colon cancer. And we often say Kit saved me because she came early. She kind of alerted us to the challenges that I wasn't already feeling in my body. And yet at the same time, the last almost 4 years, we're coming up on 4 years now since we lost her at the end of July. Like I haven't had much of an opportunity to mourn her in terms of like having a memorial or having a place for her. And April was such an emotional month, but I remember saying to my older sister that I felt there wasn't a physical place to remember her. And my biggest fear as the mom was that this world or me or anybody will forget her because of what she did to save me. And that's not right. So I shared it with my sister, and she and my brother-in-law did the most amazing thing. We went to this town called Rothenburg in Germany, and it's this old medieval town, and it has a medieval wall, and you can put these, you can buy these plaques and engrave them. And unbeknownst to us, they did that, and there was a plaque for my family there with Kit on it, and my sister and brother-in-law had one right next door, and we're forever entwined there and rest there. And I feel even though Kit's ashes are with us, she has a place now. And it's not the only place she's going to have, but it looks out over the cathedral of this gorgeous little medieval town. And afterwards, we went to the cathedral and lit a candle for her. And I, wrote a few sentences in the book for her. And we could feel my mom, who passed in 2016. We could feel her with us, and Kit was there with us too. And it was just the most beautiful and spiritual experience. And it was an experience I didn't really know I needed. In fact, the whole trip, I knew I needed to go, but I didn't really understand the value of the trip, for me, or what it would be. And the experience was just healing. Again, very challenging, because there, every day there was some level of uncomfortability or pain, but or challenge, figuring out food or sleep or whatever. But I was doing it in this amazing environment. And I think it's when I think to what are the lessons I learned while on this trip, the number one lesson I learned is something I think I've shared before on here, but like, when you get stuck, have changed something, like, I think I was just in such a rut. I didn't realize the rut I was in until I left the house. And changing my viewpoint, changing my physical location, changed my point of view. I didn't feel like the cancer patient in Europe. Yes, I definitely felt, not 100% and challenged, but my full-time identity was not the cancer patient. It was to be Molly. And I think for each of us, we're holding stories right now that no longer serve us. And I encourage all of you to look at, what in your life right now is no longer serving you, and what you might want to do about it. I think for me, letting go of the fact that that I'm the cancer patient. It doesn't mean that I'm not seeing myself as the cancer patient. Rather, what it is this acknowledgement that that's not all that I am. I think it's so important for each of us to remember how complicated, how unique, how different, how special each of us are, and how we show up on a day-to-day basis. So I think this acknowledgement that I am more than a cancer patient was probably the most powerful lesson. The other thing is, I think being in Europe, it doesn't matter where you are. I wouldn't say I'm a very religious person, in the sense that I don't have a practice for my spirituality in a way that is, going to a church or something like that. That said, I'm very spiritual. So when I walk into a church or cathedral, I can feel the essence of God and the spiritual love around us. And I think there were many cities where I walked into a cathedral and sat down and had a cry, or sat down and thought of what's going to happen next. And I needed those. I remember our second day in Reykjavik, we went to the really amazing cathedral there, and I'm not going to remember the name off the top of my head, but beautiful place. And I remember walking in and having a super emotional reaction to being in the church, just this feeling of peace and love all around me. And I think for each of us, wherever the pull is, just reminding yourself that you have the ability to express yourself, to open up, to feel the love of the universe and the world around you. Each of us has that opportunity. And when I look back at this trip, it was super spiritual. It it was mind, body, and soul. It was, we even at one point, we did this thing called Eagle's Nest, which is in Berchtesgaden in Germany. And you basically go to the top of the mountain. And I have a fear of like heights. I actually have a fear of falling. And you go up there on this like almost like a city bus, but it's a windy road. And I was determined to do it, but I was terrified to do it. And I did a number of things to get myself calm. I listened to my music. I closed my eyes. I had Brian tell me when I could look. I mean, I definitely felt like a child in those kinds of ways. But when you get to the parking lot platform, then you walk through this long tunnel and you go up this elevator and it comes out on top of the mountain. And when I got up there, I just felt elated, and I was so proud of myself for having done it. And look, for each of us, life is hard right now. There's so many challenges. There's so many fears. The world is a little scary. But I think some of the parts for me on this trip are reminding myself, and by extension, each of you, you're stronger than you realize you are. You've done it before, you can do it again. You can cheer yourself on when you don't know, how it's going to feel. And you can pat yourself on the back when you've done something you're proud of. And change of environment changes your point of view. It really does. And this acknowledgement for me of like, what can I do locally to do that for myself? As I shared at the start of this, I talked to the oncologist tomorrow about my next phase of treatment. There's still cancer present. And so we have some chemo meds in store, I think. And once I talk to her, I will get back with you guys and share more about that. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that time being away. And it's a privilege. I'm at the same time, it's what I needed most, and I didn't know I needed it. So more to come. Thank you everybody for reaching out, for sharing your excitement about my trip, for asking when the next video is coming. But I'm feeling stronger. I'm feeling like not just me, but like a better version of me, the person I'm meant to be. And I'm very hopeful for the next phase. I am also, I will be honest, a little nervous and a little scared, which I think is only natural. But we'll figure that out once we come up with the next steps. So more to come on all of that. Wishing you all a lovely rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for your love and support. Be well.